doing good. How you doing?
It's a little rough day, but I'm here. We made
Guess
it.
what?
We're a
It's
little
Water
late,
Cooler Wednesday.
right? We're a little behind schedule, but we're here. There's always got to be a little technical difficulty once in a while. So,
Nothing that we can't get past, though.
exactly.
And we still get to talk about a really awesome topic today. Because I know me, like a lot of people out there, probably have a lot of questions about realtors. So we're going to ask some of those questions today. And then our in house resident realtor, Dion Branch, can answer.
Okay.
So we're going to do this in reverse today than what we normally do. I am Lisa J. White, otherwise known as the House Money Mama with Nexa Mortgage, where brokers are better. And I'm co-hosting every week here, Water Cooler Wednesday, 6 o'clock Central Time on your Facebook and YouTube channels with the very own...
Deanna Branch from Allure Dream Homes, brokered by EXP.
All right. Well, we're off to a good start. So
Yes.
hold on, everybody. Hold on to your hair, because we have some questions that we want to get answered today about whether or not you need a realtor. Let's figure out if that's actually something, because a lot of times people talk about they ask the question, why do I need to use a real estate agent? People ask questions like, can I just use Zillow? Why would I pay somebody a commission? Is it worth it to use a realtor as opposed to just doing things myself? Because a lot of times you're going to
Mhm.
have so much information, people think that they can just do it on their own, because there's so much information out there. But as much information as is out there, there's also a lot of information that is not.
It's not right. So that's a good question because everybody does think, oh, I could just use Zillow, I could just use Redfin, all these different sites. There are lots of sites. See what properties are out there, and realtors actually allow those sites to be able to see the properties that we're listing. So for one, we're the
Yeah.
provider of the information, right? We're providing um what's needed in order for people to know what houses and things are out there that's available.
The
Okay.
inventory, right? The
The
inventory
inventory.
itself is usually coming from the real estate agents. That makes sense.
Yes, yes. And so then the other thing is, like, a lot of people, like, we do more than just open the door, right? We're not, a lot of people, oh, well, can you just open the door for me and then I can see the different properties that you're interested in.
Right.
But really, myself, my team, we hold your hand through the whole transaction. We help you when you're negotiating your prices, and we do comps in order to determine what's the best price
What's
that
a
you should.
comp?
Yes. So a comp is basically we're looking at properties that I have sold within the last um, 3 to 6 months, and then we're saying, okay, this is what the market says that the houses are worth in that area, and so
Okay.
we'll provide you those comparables. Okay, and then once we provide those, that helps us know, okay, are we paying more than we need to for the house, and actually making sure that you offer realistic offers to the sellers when you're interested in buying. So there's a lot of different things. We help you with your home inspection. Once you do the home inspection, the inspector is going to provide you a list of items that some that are safety, some that are
Okay.
nice to have, and we help you just kind of work through that process. So there's a lot, and that's just like a little tip of all the things that we do as a realtor to help you when purchasing a home.
Okay. So let's if you had to narrow it down to maybe like one or two things, what would you say would be like the biggest risk that buyers face when if they don't use a real estate agent? Because what you just talked about, that's a, kind of
Hmm.
not quite a laundry list, but that's a good amount of things
Right.
that you would be doing. What would you say would be like the biggest risk that a buyer would face if they try to go at it on their own?
Right. So this is the largest transaction that you may make for yourself, right? So let's make sure that you don't overpay for a home.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make sure that you don't get a home that has a lot of issues. As a realtor, I've been through many of homes, so I'm able to identify things that might be a issue or a concern for you later on down the line, and
Mm-hmm.
we can talk and discuss and assess whether you want to continue because you're more aware of what's happening with the property.
Okay. So
Mhm.
it sounds like from the perspective of a realtor that the experience that you bring is part of it, obviously, because
Yes.
you can look at a house and a market with a different eye than myself, because a lot of times we work with first time home buyers.
Yes.
So
Yes.
then myself as a first time home buyer, say for example, my eye would not be as experienced, or would not interpret things the same way that your eye would, because you've been actually working in the industry and kind of seeing how things work. I want to kind of, so I just thought about something, because a few minutes ago you had brought up the word negotiation when you talked about kind of the list of things that a
Hmm.
realtor does. Um, I want to just share this Dion, don't know I'm about to say this, but I'm about to say it is completely off the cuff. Dion has a knack. I don't know how she be doing it, but she has a great knack for being able to negotiate. So I don't know if she took a negotiation class in high school, if she got a degree in negotiation. I don't know what she did, but this lady knows how to negotiate. And the truth of the matter is, a couple of years ago, when the market, I had other realtors that were saying, "Oh, I can't get my offer accepted. I'm having a hard time. My person, put 8 offers, in, and they still haven't got a house." Dion coming in with $7,000 and $10,000 credits on her offers, and I'm like, how are you doing this? All these other people I'm talking to, they're having a completely different experience. So, point being, uh, not just using a realtor, but using a realtor, with a certain set of skills. As what is that guy's name? He say it's the actor that say that in his movies. I have a certain set of
Oh,
skills.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
I think of it and I'll bring it back up. Neeson. It's the movie
Oh,
that
okay.
he plays in, and he says that I have a certain set of skills. But
Still,
anyway,
still, okay.
but yeah, so I would say that for Dion in particular, she has a certain set of skills that you can benefit from when you utilize her as being your real estate agent. I've seen it
Right. I
personally.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. But yeah, I've seen it personally in how she negotiates out transactions for her customers, and how she walks with people through the process. So I think that's something really important to keep in mind. I think something else that probably becomes, the money part becomes
Hmm.
an issue for people. And I know we've had some changes in the industry recently and everything. Can we talk a little bit, maybe like an explanation for how a buyer's realtor would get paid, for,
Right. Yes. Yeah. So, we used to say that there was no payment, right? After August 17th of last year, they actually came out with a new guidelines as
yeah.
far as working with buyers agents, right? So what that means is, um, when you're working with me as your agent, I we work together and we discuss what's called a buyer's exclusive buyer's agreement. And
Okay.
during that time, we're going to talk about what areas you're interested in purchasing your home. And so the other part is we discuss commission, what my average commission is. So During that time, I'll share with you what my commission payment is, and they're asking us to ask you to understand that if the seller does not pay my commission, then you as a buyer would pay my commission.
Mm-hmm.
But Lisa just said something, right? I'm a good negotiator, right? Right.
And that's the
So,
truth.
right. So my goal is to always to not have you pay. Right. So, but we have to have this discussion. You have to
Right.
understand what it is that's required in order to work with a buyer's agent. And then we go off, we look at houses, and I have discussions with the seller's agent about how my client loves this house, but unfortunately, fortunately for you, but we would like for the seller to pay for the commission.
Right.
And
And
right now, most sellers are still paying commission, and
okay.
so this is not something that you really have to worry about. And before we actually placed an offer or got under contract for a home, you would know
Right.
whether that what is required from you. Even
Right.
though we've signed this agreement, we're just not going to go off and put offers on homes, and you have to pay this pay the agent's commission.
Right.
We're going to discuss it.
And that was going to be my question actually was how many times would you say that you have had to have the buyer pay the commission since that went into effect August of 2024?
Right. Zero.
Zero.
Yeah. Zero. Right. So
Yeah. So even
it's
though all these great drastic changes have happened in the industry and everybody was all in uproar about it, really ain't nothing changed.
yeah, yeah. And the
Right.
other thing is, like, if you're an investor and you're looking, a lot of times the investor may be required to pay because
Uh-huh.
of the style of home that we're looking at. But as just a first time home buyer, most zero. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
now the only thing I would say is with other some other transactions that I've had happen like out of state, I had
Hmm.
transactions in Georgia because I'm licensed there too. Um,
Yeah.
and so with that, I've had it where the buyer's agent had the majority of his commission covered by the seller's agent, by the listing agent, but
Yes.
there was a small portion, I think like a 0.5% or three
Yeah.
quarters of a percent,
Hmm.
something like that. There was still the responsibility of the buyer because they had only agreed, to a set amount.
That amount, right? And that is happening more often as well here, even
Mhm.
in Illinois.
Yeah,
But again, that's a discussion that's had amongst us before we go under contract, and especially with your lender, because the lender needs to know that you have to pay commission as well. So we make sure that everyone is aware of where you're purchasing this home and what your obligation is for your down payment.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the you keep bringing up a really good point, so I want to just kind of reiterate it one more time, which is that you it's not it's there's no man behind the curtain here. There's
Yeah,
no secret.
yeah,
Everything is out in the open. You know exactly how it's going to work. And before you're legally obligated to anything, before the ink is wet on the paper and there's an official agreement, you already know.
yeah.
So it's not like it's going to be a surprise, like, oh my God, I got to pay that.
Right,
That's not going to happen.
right. Working with me, you're definitely gonna know in advance because we want to make sure that everybody. The last thing we want to do is get to closing and I don't have that. I don't have no
Right. Right. So I got a couple of questions because we want to I'm gonna call this our myth busting moment.
money. All right, let's go.
So, question for you: is this
Yes.
myth or is this true? Is it cheaper? Isn't it cheaper to work with the listing agent directly when you are looking for a home?
No, it's meth, right? Because what also happens is the listing agent isn't working with you. right? The listing agent is working for the seller, so they have no true obligation to you. So you wouldn't want to work with the listing agent. You may think you're getting less, but they're not negotiating and working for your behalf. They're actually contracted with the seller.
Right. And I think that's really important for people to know because they just assume, oh, well, they're a realtor, they could do the same
Hmm.
thing that you could do. True enough, they could, but we're all
Right,
human. We're
right,
all human.
yes, right.
And when you're looking at your paycheck and the obligation that you made to this person first,
Hmm.
and then just to do a contract for another person, you're going to be looking out for the interests of the person that you obligated yourself to.
Right.
So,
There, there is something that's called dual agency. That's really what the seller. So there's a couple of different ways that a listing agent could do it. But
okay.
if they're doing it under dual, so the one is they're representing the seller and you're going with no representation at all,
Oh,
right? So now no one is helping you through this process, where you can make the most mistakes, and I know you want to hold on to 10,000, tens and thousands of dollars because I would, right?
that'd be
And
my
then,
preference.
yeah, that would be my preference too, right? And then the other part is we can do what's called dual agency. That means that we're working for both of you. But if I'm working for you and I'm working for her, the other person, nobody's getting represented. So now I'm just here to help you a little bit. I can't tell you what that person is saying, or I can't
Right,
tell you what right. So there's a lot of different ways, but in the end, you're not being serviced correctly. And
right,
so the best
right,
bet is to always have a buyer's agent work with you.
right. That would be the same as going up, you're the defense attorney. You go up and ask the prosecutor, can you represent me and, prosecute the case at the same time? Can't you just
Exactly.
do them
Right.
both? And then I can pay half. Okay, so here's another myth. A myth. Is it a myth or is it not? So, the only thing that realtors do is just post listings on the MLS. Is that correct?
No, well, definitely not. Right. So we've talked
Y'all
about
ain't out there doing nothing in them real
right,
estate streets.
right. All you're doing is just doing some posting. Really?
Right.
No. Right. So no, we do a lot. As far as a realtor, definitely I am helping you select homes that we want to see, right? So making sure that you're choosing the right homes before we even go out and view them. Then once we go out to view them and you decide that it's something that's for you, I typically help you with negotiating, so setting up your offers and getting those accepted, so that's during the negotiation process. And then we go on to, once our offer is accepted, I go on to help you with your home inspection and making sure that you are aware of any issues that may be in the home, right? So you know those are just at the beginning of the process, right? After that, I'm working with Lisa, making sure she's asking multiple questions and I'm helping her make sure that the answers that she needs is being
Right.
answered as well. So
Yeah. And I
it
think that's important
continues.
right now. I have just to interrupt real quick, and I do want
Hmm.
you to finish, but right now I have a transaction. This is in Georgia. Um,
Hmm.
there's no realtors involved. This one is tough for me
Yeah.
because I have an obligation to my buyer. So I made it very clear, to the seller on the deal, like, listen, I represent her. I can only give you so much information. This is a personal financial transaction, and I
Hmm.
cannot divulge,
New information,
all
right?
the details of it to you. And plus, there's a conflict of interest with our communication. So I'm gonna have to be very, mindful of even just how I communicate with you. So
Hmm.
yes, that it does make a difference now. It does make a difference now. There are things that the team has to do. So this is just from the lending side, but it
Yeah.
impacts you, you know. So as a team, there are things that I'm going to need, I'm going to have to ask for as the lender, right? Because just like I have the borrower doing stuff to clear conditions, there are things that the team has to do to clear conditions too.
Yeah.
And so you go into the realtor like, hey, I need your help with clearing these conditions. So, realtors even work in tandem with the loan originator to actually get the loan to, the clear to close stage.
Right.
So,
To the end, right? So that's
mhm.
one thing Lisa and I always talk about, like we're a team. And so we're working together throughout the whole transaction in
Yep.
order
Somebody's at the front door.
sorry.
It's okay. And we're live from our bedrooms. It's Water Cooler Wednesday.
Somebody else to answer it, but there is somebody at the front door, right?
Okay.
Right.
Well, at least it wasn't Brutus.
Right. This time. This time, right. But yes, so we work together throughout the transaction to make sure that everything goes well. Even as a realtor, I'm connecting you before the transaction starts with members of my team in order to help you if you're having credit issues, right? So we help you there as well, and all the way through the transaction with home inspectors. So our team, I mean, it's the two of us here, but our team is very large and we have a lot of people that we
Yeah.
use in order to help you. And that's how we hold your hand through the transaction.
So let's say a person is, convinced from everything that we talked about, it's a good idea to use a realtor instead of trying to go it alone. So what is something? I don't want to get a whole list of questions, but what do you think would be important? What should a person look for in order to determine who is a good realtor for them to work with?
Right. So I think someone that's familiar with the neighborhood,
Okay.
with the areas that you're interested in,
Yeah.
because a lot of times I can go to Aurora, but I have to be honest that I don't work that often in Aurora, so then my knowledge of that area might not be um, as well as someone else, but I can help you, right? So, but you want someone that may have more knowledge in one area. You want someone that has done more than one transaction. You can
Mhm.
find this information about a realtor. You can go on Zillow and some of the other sites and do a little research on your realtor and find out how many transactions have they done already. And
Mhm.
so then that lets you know if they have some expertise in that area.
Or
Um,
was their last transaction in 1973, or are they still
exactly.
actively?
Right, right. They still active, but they transact. They haven't done anything in years, right?
Yeah.
So it's I think those are important characteristics that you want to look for in a realtor, and then somebody that you feel open to communicate with. So make sure that you have a good rapport with your realtor as well, because they're helping you do something that's big, right? And you want to make sure that you can actually communicate and share your concerns, and that person actually listens
Yeah.
and knows what you want. So
That's awesome. Very, very good advice.
thank
So,
you.
so if they wanted to use you as a realtor, what would they do?
If you'd like to use me as a realtor, you can contact me on my phone number. Boom, boom. Hold on. Let's see. You can contact me at my number below, 773-819-6092. We can have our initial consultation where we talk about what your goal is. And, Lisa and I say this every week. If you're planning on buying next year, I still want to talk to you this year, right? All right. So, and that way we can make sure that we make a plan, right? We want to discuss. your credit may be at a good place, but we might need you to get a little higher so that you can qualify for more. So you have a whole year to work on that. We can connect you with our team in order to do that. And also determine what your budget is. So
Yeah.
there, yeah. So contact us. That number.
And before you get ready to go out there, of course, you are going to have to get pre-qualified. So you definitely want to get in contact with me so we can run them numbers, see what
Yes.
you're working with. And if
Right.
you need, like how she mentioned, if you need to do something in order to get prepared, we will have plenty of time to work on that.
Yeah. So all right, and there's her number listed as well.
Okay, well, that was good. Very, very good information. Very good information today. I appreciate it. So I actually learned a little bit. And being able to kind of connect the dots to everything that you do. You do a lot. I just don't know exactly what it is all the time, but I know you do a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm here for you guys. Lisa and I are here whenever you need us. So we are ready for you. All right.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We'll see you here, same time, same place, but a week from today.
Yes. Bye bye.